Okay, good morning. Thank you everybody for joining. As Martin hosts press conference, we are previewing our game against Leicester City this weekend. Today we have questions in the room and on the online feed. If you're joining on the online feed, please use the raise hand function to ask questions. We have no embargoes today. We'll start in the room. Have we got a live mic, please? And we'll start down the front with Emma Sanders, BBC.
Thank you. Hi, Martin. Nice to see you.
You too.
Obviously, a very strong start to the transfer window. Beginning of January, can we expect any more to come in?
Yeah, we'll still be in the market. I think as a club, and as a coach, you want to make sure that you do everything you can to make sure your squad's in the best possible shape going into, as they'll probably say, the kind of big end of the season. So yeah, we'll still be in the market. We'll still look for if we feel we can strengthen any areas, but yeah, I'm very selective in what I want and what the squad needs. I want to make sure that's the right person, the right fit for us moving forward.
And one of those coming in was obviously Signe Gorpset. How has she looked in training so far? And can you tell us a little bit more about her as a person, maybe away from the pitch?
Yeah, settled in really well. Shy as a person, as you can imagine, when you come into a new environment and a new club. The club obviously being a lot bigger, the surroundings being a lot bigger, the infrastructure being a lot bigger. But she's trained really well. She's settled into the group on the pitch, and I think that's maybe where she comes into her own a little bit. When she's on the pitch, she's more relaxed. You can see the level of quality she possesses on the pitch, and then away from the pitch, she just needs to settle in with new environments, new culture, and also then her surroundings personally about moving into a new place and the new areas around her and what she needs to be aware of. So I'm really excited for her, and as a person she's wonderful. She'll give you everything, and she goes about her work very quietly. Like
you say, it's just about settling in. Is she ready to make a debut from the weekend?
Yeah, all of them are. Every player who's come in is in contention to play. When players come into the building, you obviously want them to adapt, but probably we use it maybe enough as coaches in terms of you need an adaptation phase, but actually it's how quick the player and how much the player is ready to perform. And if you feel they're ready, then I think it's an opportunity for those players and for you to put them in as a coach. And whatever we decide to go with on the weekend, and however the players come out to train in the next couple of days, we then pick that team that we think is going to go and win the game.
And just a word on Ashley Neville. Obviously, she's joined Leicester after almost a decade with Spurs. How would she be remembered at Tottenham? She's obviously a huge fan favourite as well. Yeah,
a wonderful person, and I've alluded to that numerous times in my media, as people have probably seen, in terms of an iconic figure for this football club, and has been part of building this club and the success this club has had, getting to the point of where it is now. And she's a role model for a lot of young players and a lot of people within our fan base and within the squad. And the club will make sure that she's remembered in the right way.
I'll just quickly check team news for the weekend as well.
Yeah, still the same long-term ones, but there's obviously some positive away from that in terms of Ella Morris is back on the grass doing parts of training. Luana's still doing her rehab. Maita's making good progress. Obviously Jess has had their operation and is in a good place. And apart from that, everyone else is in contention to be available for the weekend.
All the best, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Alia.
Hey Martin, I just see, with the incoming of several prospective youngsters and the departure of club veteran Ashley Neville, could you say that this year is the dawn of a new, exciting and positive era for the team?
Yeah, I think not just on young players coming in, we will balance the squad with experienced and young players, because I think it's important that you have that blend of experience and kind of youth, but we want to make sure that that's done in the right way, and we make sure it's right for the team and for the club. And if you want to look at it as a new era for the team now, we can look at it that way. We're moving in a direction the club want to take the team. The club is very ambitious in terms of where it sees the women's team and where it wants it to go. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. And we just want to make sure that we get the right blend with youth and experienced players within the squad. And by doing that, I think it sets you up for success in the future.
And then with the Asian Cup coming up in March, you'll more than likely lose your key centre-back pairing in Claire Hunt and Toka Koga. How will you prepare the squad for this absence, and do you have a plan already to fill the position in the meantime?
Yeah, I think we have wonderful players in there. Molly's a wonderful player, vastly experienced, and has a lot of quality. And I want to make sure that when we go into that period that we're efficient, we have a plan in terms of what we want to do, and there'll be some adaptation in that part of the pitch 100%. But all three of those centre backs are competing really well now in training, and not just going into the Asia Cup, going into all these league games coming up. They're pushing one another, and when it comes to that point where the Asia Cup comes, we need to be adaptable, but we need to have a plan in place, as you said, and there are things we're already starting to think about.
And then, despite the team's best start to the season in the history, some supporters will understandably be approaching it with caution. When we look back to the decline last season after the historic 23-24, which saw us reach our first FA Cup final, how will you ensure the team will kind of continue to improve, perform well, and make history for seasons to come, and not become perhaps another one-season wonder, as some would word it?
Yeah, I think we have to make sure that we build on the platforms we've built at this moment in time regarding performance, and then the other aspects away from the pitch. And I don't look at it from what was in the past in terms of how it's been previously. I try to focus on what we can control and what I'm trying to apply here with the group of players and staff. And I feel we're in a good place. Players and staff have come back in good spirits, with good energy, and the breaks enable that to happen, being with family and friends and people around them. So going into this second part of the season, we're optimistic. We want to make sure that we continue on the work we're doing. We'll be better at it, and hopefully have a strong second part of the season.
And just finally from me, with these new signings, how confident are you that Spurs can finish top three and or progress well and possibly even win the FA Cup?
Yeah, we want any competition we're in, whether that's the League Cup we were in, whether it's the FA Cup, whether it's the League, we want to make sure that we're competitive in all competitions, and we'll do that moving forward. What I don't like to do is say we're going to get there, or we're going to win this, or we're going to do that, because then you definitely open up something for yourself. But what I want to make sure is that we're competitive in all those competitions. Do we want to go and be in a final of an FA Cup? Of course we do. Do we want to be in the top parts of the table? Of course we do. But our performances will determine that. Our consistency over the second part of the season will determine that. And if we do that, we put ourselves in a good position. But all I'm looking at is that each game as it comes now, and a single game at a time. And if we put all of our focus into that, we give ourselves the best chance to come out with a result. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to questions on the online feed. Rachel O'Sullivan.
Hi, Martin. Just want to ask a little bit about some of the Nordic and Scandi players that you've been bringing in. What is it about that area of the world? Is it a case of, I guess, some of your experience, of course, over in Brown, knowing some of those players a little bit, obviously knowing Sydney quite well, but is it a style of play particularly that you like?
No, I think if you look at the league population, Rachel, in general, the league population there's a lot of Scandinavian players within the league, and I know that a lot of clubs look to Scandinavia within this winter window because of how their season falls, but also for the quality of the player. And yeah, Signa comes in off being one of the biggest talents within Europe, within the world, and had numerous opportunities to maybe go to other clubs, but chose the project here at Tottenham and believes in what we're doing. So not really style of play, just more the quality of the player. And the same with Julie, who's come in terms of she's got WSL experience, she's been here before. Maybe didn't get what she wanted from that previous move she had, but has got a new energy, kind of re-energised, and come off the back of a really successful spell at Hammarby. So no, the quality players, the senior international players, which is important, and you're just looking to strengthen in this window, and probably most of your work in this window is probably done within those Scandinavian leagues.
And just a word on Micah Mano as well. What was it about that attracted you to bring her into the squad, and what can she bring?
Yeah, we need the more depth in those attacking areas. She can play in numerous positions. She can play wide, central, and as a 9. She's done that before. So it's having that versatility in the squad to be able to be adaptable. Her quality as a player is second to none. I think everyone's seen that within her performances at Chelsea. And when the opportunity presented itself, I think it was a really good one for us to have. For an environmental perspective, as a person, she's outstanding. And as a player, she breathes the quality we want, and I think now going into the second part of the season, she will give us something a little bit different to what we have within the attacking part of the pitch.
And just a word on Leicester as well. You obviously played every team now. Does it change in any way the way you prepare for a game now that you've played every team in the league and maybe know a little bit more about each of them? Yeah,
definitely. You have to look at ways you can be a little bit different, Rachel, in terms of maybe your approach and your strategy going into certain games. You want to kind of pose some different problems, and I think we showed that within our setup against Manchester United in both of those games was slightly different, and we were adaptable, and we caused them problems in both of them. So yeah, we want to continue that. We want to evolve the players and allow you to do that with their kind of creativity and a little bit of intuition. And then the new players will provide definitely an uncertainty of if they play, because yeah, some clubs and some players individually want to play against them. So yeah, every player gives us a different outcome and a different profile, and yeah, we want to be more unpredictable, but we definitely have to be more solid in terms of stopping it going in our net.
I guess that unpredictability is important as well, because every team has played you, I suppose, and maybe have a little bit of a better idea of what the market will be like.
Yeah, 100%, and I understand that, and that's why I think the kind of uncertainty is important. The evolving of a team is important. I think we've built solid foundations from the first part of the season and a framework of how we want to look and how we want to play, Rachel. And I think now going into this second part, I want to make sure that yeah, we can add to that and evolve from that, and then in games be a little bit more unpredictable for the teams we come up against, but also you need to rely sometimes on the individual quality of players to find that bit of brilliance in certain moments.
Great, thank you, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Cowlin.
Hi Martin, happy New Year to you.
You too.
Of course on Sunday you face Leicester. What have you made of Leicester so far this season? And you go into this game in a really good league position, only 2 points away from the top 3, and of course Leicester have only won 2 games. What sort of game are you expecting?
Yeah, tough one. I think since Rick's gone in there, Rick's done an outstanding job, and they're well organised. They're very aggressive in terms of defensively. They step on, they press high, and then with the ball, they're very fluid. They're very dynamic going forward with their movement, so we know they're going to be a threat. And I have a lot of respect for them as a team. And I think before the season, everyone was probably in a way writing Leicester off in terms of before the season started. But I'm glad to see that they've proved a lot of people wrong, and Rick's done the same with how he's come in and implemented what he wants. So we know it's going to be a tough game, and I don't think there's any game now, Chris, that you go into where you think it's a kind of a gimme and you're going to come out with a result. You've got to earn it. We've got to show respect, more importantly, to the opponent. And if we do that and then perform to the levels I know we can and more, then I believe we can get the outcome we want.
It was certainly a very impressive first half of the season. What did you learn most about your players, and also what did you learn about you as a manager?
It's a good question. That management's stressful, I'll tell you that. No, I think about myself in terms of how to deal with a bigger club, bigger infrastructure, learning more about myself as a manager, on how I do things as a coach, how I do things off the pitch, on the pitch, how you manage time, how you build relationships with players and staff, how you get the best out of your staff, and then how you try and build a consistency within performance and training methodology to make sure that we can perform on a weekend. And then seeing a fan base grow from home and away games has been nice, and I want to make sure that I continue to do that from my perspective, but I want to make sure our performances allow the fans to keep coming back. And then from a player perspective, they've shown abundance as a quality in terms of in large moments. They've faced adversity now just before Christmas when we had some injuries from the international break, and the players have showed a consistency and a willingness to perform at a high level in 2 big games. And I think they've proved a lot of people wrong, and we proved a lot of people wrong as a collective, as staff and players. And I think now going into the second part of the season, we need to make sure that we build on what we've done in the first part of the season and not kind of settle on it, and make sure that we put ourselves in a good position going into this end part of the season, going into May and June.
When you have this 3-week break, is it a good thing to have a bit of a regroup, or is it you just want to keep playing? Yeah,
you don't want it. We had some momentum, yes, you might not have got the results you wanted in those games, but I felt the performances were good over large parts, and it was big steps for us as a team. And coming away from that, you just want to keep building on top of that. But you also know the players are human and they're not robots, and you have to give them a time to mentally reset as well as physically. And I think it come at the right time for us as a team. It's enabled players to start getting back closer to the pitch, the ones who've been injured. So now we're just more looking forward to putting ourselves in a position going into Leicester where we can push on now.
Martin, lastly from me, the transfer window has been excellent for you so far. The club is certainly backing you. Getting deals done early, a good mixture of young talent and experienced players, as you mentioned earlier. Who is the driving force behind the transfers? Who do you owe that thanks to of then backing
yeah, the people around me in terms of the club, the ownership of the club, Vinay, Andy, Rebecca, the Lewis family, as I said, they've been outstanding in providing me with the opportunity to bring these players in. We identify them and then we try and see if it works. There's obviously a lot of pieces to put together within the puzzle to allow that to happen. But yeah, I couldn't have asked any more. The club have given me everything we've asked for and what we needed within the squad to make the squad depth a little bit bigger. So yeah, and I can't be any more thankful. They've done everything they can, and yeah, we've enabled ourselves to get over the line with some good signings. Cheers, Chris. Thank you.
Rachel Cohen.
Hi, Martin.
Hi, Rich. How are you?
I'm good. Can I ask you about where you see Signe playing? In her interview, she talked about being an 8. Obviously, she's played before for you as more of a sort of 10 or a winger. Have you got sort of thoughts about how she fits into this particular team?
Yeah, I think she's played, when I was in Brands, she played as an 8 or a 10, depending on how we played the game and how we set up. So either of those two positions. I think long-term, for her long-term career, I think she'd probably be more as an 8 because of her power and speed and her ability to break lines, not just with kind of individual passing, but with her ball carrying. So I think as an 8, she can go box to box really well. She can play as an isolated 10, which I've been accustomed to when I was in Bran. But she's also, for the national team, played off one of the sides and worked inside as another midfielder or another central 10. So yeah, she has the versatility to play in any of those positions, and whatever we set up the game plan like, and wherever I feel her skill set will be used more. We can use in all of those 3 positions, but probably her best position is probably an 8 or a 10.
Thanks. And just, I guess, thinking about positions, and obviously we've had a couple of players come in who play fullback. We've got Ashley Neville going out. Can you say a little bit more about sort of how you see that position and what your logic was for both bringing those players in and the decision for Ashley Neville to leave? We've obviously got some other players like Charlie Grant, Mariah Dennis and Josephine Rybrick who have played but haven't typically started in that position for a while. Yeah, so just can you say a little bit more about fullback, I guess? Yeah,
no, I think you want to make sure that you've got different profiles in those positions, which I think we do, and I think in football's now evolving. You don't see every fullback isn't a fullback no more. You see maybe sometimes central midfielders playing there. You sometimes see a centre-back playing there because of the profile that you want. And we've seen that with Josephina. Josephina's a different fullback to playing with Ashley Neville. Ashley Neville's different to Charlie. Charlie's different to Araya. And it just depends on what you want and what I want in that moment. And the new players coming in, obviously, Julia Blackstad provides us with another option at left fullback. And then you've got Hannah Vik, who's probably one of the up-and-coming talented players within the Sweden under-23s on the verge of the national team. So she's a very, very experienced player at senior level and at national level, but also in European competition. And the opportunity to bring Hannah here when she had so much opportunity to go to other clubs within this league was important. And she's a young talent, but she's got lots of experience. And then with Ash, it was a decision of moving forward and how we want to move forward, and also for Ash on a personal level at the same time. So we're just making sure that it's right for us as a club, and we have to at some time move forward as a club and go to where we want to go. And I will make them decisions, and I'll get some right and I'll get some wrong at the same time. But it was important that we had people in before we allow people to move on.
Thanks. And just again on the sort of like we're playing Leicester, it's going to be a double header. Is there something different about playing a team twice in a row? You've just had that experience.
Yeah, it's different. I think, I didn't expect to have a straight double header like we did just before the break. But yeah, you have to set up a little bit, Rachel, different. We have to pose maybe a different tactical, different formation in terms of how we want to play in both of these games. Both of them mean the same to us. We want to win both games. So yeah, we have to find, and my job's to find an unpredictability in how we play, whether that's individual personnel or that's tactically. And we'll make sure that we go into these games to win the game, to force the opposition, to push the opposition. And by doing that, I need to find different ways we can set up. But probably after the first game, you have a better idea of what you might do in the second one. So it's going to be interesting in 2 games, and there's 2 different outcomes. One's in the league and one's in the FA Cup.
Thanks. Can I just very quickly ask you about
Tinker?
We haven't heard much about her.
Yeah.
I know that you were a little bit cautious about her return before Christmas.
Yeah.
Is it any closer? At that time you were talking about the end of January. Is that still
Yeah. So the same with her. So the same with her and Olga. Both of them are probably looking to return the end of January to be in the squad. They've made really good progress. Both of them, they're ahead of schedule. But with certain injuries, you have to take a little bit more cautious. And we had more time with the Christmas break to be a little bit more cautious, which we have been. But they're both on the pitch. They're both been in part of training. They're just building back up to where they need to be. And I'd say with the end of this month is their targeted return date in terms to be back. And fingers crossed there's no setbacks. But we're in a good place with them too. And yeah, I'm looking forward to those two, Olga and Katinka, as well as Ella Morris and so on, returning to the squad very soon.
Thanks. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a few minutes left. We'll try and get through as many as we can. We'll go to Gethin.
Hi. I was just wondering, so in terms of, you signed Micah Halano, now you've got two Japanese players in the squad. And, got in quite recently. I was just wondering, what specific qualities do those players bring? How important was it for you to join the trend?
Yeah, I think Micah's got wonderful talent and wonderful ability, and as I said, when the opportunity presented itself, it was important that we could move and be part of that discussion to bring Micah here. And yeah, my first discussion with her was very interactive. She's very personable, and I know what she can possess, and I felt that her qualities, where she can play in 2 or 3 different positions, would give us some cover in certain moments, but also enable her to come in and really put competition in certain positions. And she gives us a different profile, different dynamic, and her technical ability and ball handling is very, very good. And then off the ball, her pressing and her defensive capabilities and intelligence is very, very high. And it's something that we wanted to add to the group.
Thank you. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Let's get in. Thomas?
Hi Martin, happy New Year.
You too.
You've mentioned it's almost like that unpredictability.
Yep.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on, do you find it difficult to somewhat find the balance between having a style of play and an identity, but also still remaining unpredictability? How do you work the way around that?
Yeah, I think the style of play will always be there. It's your kind of methodology and your framework on the pitch that allows you to be understood. The principles and the concepts of what you believe in and what you want to play like. So that won't change in terms of playing style and identity. It's more the unpredictability of how we set up and how we structure the team and what kind of spaces we operate in to make it a little bit more difficult. And those individual player profiles allow you to do that now. With having different players coming in, different players starting games, being able to bring different players into games, that gives you a totally different kind of output and outcome going into games. And that's more the unpredictability we're looking for in terms of when players come into the game. The spaces they occupy and the way they conduct themselves will give us that unpredictability. But it'll come through rotation and counter movement in and away from the ball. And that's something I wanted to add because it's something I've been big on when I was in Brann at the same time, and just making sure we find the right time to integrate that.